Today we will be covering Chapter 2, Section B, Equations, Inequalities, and Problem Solving. 2.5 consists of formulas and problem solving. These are a few different examples of formulas: the area of a rectangle, simple interest formula, perimeter of a triangle, distance formula, and the volume of a rectangular solid. Solving equations using these formulas. These are your 5 different steps. An example of solving for n: when you have the equation t equals mnr. Solving for n, you want to isolate the n to one side of the equation, which means you divide both sides by the m times r, giving an equation of n equals t divided by mr. Example 2, solving for t. Again, same steps. You want to isolate t. Therefore, you need to subtract p from both sides and then divide by pr. 2.6, problem solving using percents. The percent problem has 3 different parts. The basic equation is the amount equals percent times base. So any one of these 3 quantities may be a known. When you do not know the amount, you are solving for n. So for example, n is equal to 10% times the base of 500. When you do not know the base, you are solving for the base. Therefore, the amount, which is 50, equals 10% times n. And then when you do not know the percent, you know the amount and you know the base. Solving for n, here you would divide both sides by the 500 and solve for the percent. For example, what is your n, your amount? Is translated to equals 9% of, which is times 65. Changing the 9% into a decimal, you divide 9 divided by 100, which gives you 0.09 times 65. Therefore, the amount is 5.85. So 5.85 is 9% of 65. Another type of example, 36 translates to equals 6% of times what number? It's your n. So 36 equals 0.06 times n. Dividing both sides by 0.06 gives you a base of 600. Therefore, 36 is 6% of 600. Another example, solving for the percent. 24 equals what percent? Is your unknown. Of is times 144. So 24 equals 144 times n. Dividing both sides by 144 gives you an answer of 0.16. Repeating, 0.166. Therefore, your percent is 16 2/3%. Again, make sure when you're solving for percent, you multiply your answer by 100. So 0.16 times 100 is 16.2/3%. Your final answer is 24 is 16 2/3% of 144. Now looking at discount problems. Example, Julie bought a leather sofa that was on sale for 35% off the original price of $1,200. What was the discount and how much did Julie pay for the sofa? Your discount equation is your discount rate times your list price. So your rate was 35%, so 0.35 times the list price of $1,200 is $420. So the discount was $420. The amount paid is your list price minus the $420. So the list price was $1,200 minus the discount of $420. Therefore, Julie paid $780 for the sofa. Further problem solving, section 2.7. When the amount in the formula is distance, we refer to the formula as a distance formula. And that formula is rate times time. Example, while swimming in the ocean, Missy's sunglasses fell off her head. If the sunglasses fall at a rate of 4 feet per second, how long will it take for them to fall 70 feet to the sand at the bottom? So let's understand the example and define our variables. Let t equals the time it takes for the sunglasses to fall. So translating, our equation is d, distance equals rate times time. The distance is 70 equals the rate at 4 times t. Solving for the time, it's 17.5. Therefore, it will take Missy's sunglasses 17.5 seconds to fall from the bottom. To check, you can always check your answer. 4 times 17.5 equals 70, which is the distance, and it checks off. Another example is a money problem example where your interest equals your principal times your rate times your time. Example, Jordan invested $12,500, part at 7% simple interest and part at 6% simple interest for 1 year. How much was invested at each rate if each account earned the same interest? So let x equals the amount of money invested at 7%. So 7% is your account. Your principal is x. The rate is 0.07. You divide 7 divided by 100, which gives you 0.07. The time is the 1 year. So your interest is 0.07x. The 6% account is the 12,500, which is the total, minus the 7% account, which is minus the x, at the rate 0.06 for the 1 year. Therefore, you have the 0.06, the 6% account, times the principal. Now you set the two equations equal. 0.07x equals 0.06 times 12,500 minus x. You distribute and you solve for x. So here you distribute the 7.06 times 12,500 is 750 minus 0.06 times x, 0.06x. Solving for x, which you divide both sides by 0.13. 750 divided by 0.13 equals 5,769.23. So Jordan deposited $5,769.23 at the 7% and $6,730.77 at 6%. And you get this amount by subtracting. Checking your answer, 5,769, which you solved for the 7%, checks off. And then the 6%, the amount that you get, 6,730.77 at 6%, also checks off. Solving linear inequalities is section 2.8. A linear inequality in one variable is an inequality that can be written in the form ax plus b is less than c, where a, b, and c are real numbers and a is not equal to 0. The definition of all and definitions, properties, and steps in this section also hold true for the inequality for the symbols greater than and equal to, or less than and equal to. Example, graphing solutions to the inequalities. You use a number line. Use a closed circle at the end point of an interval if you want to include the point. Either a closed circle or a bracket will be used for equality. The open circle represents the set of not equal to. So again, either the open circle or parenthesis represents the inequality when it's just greater than or equal to. Greater than or less than, but not equal to. So again, here the interval notation, use parenthesis if you want to include the number. Use a bracket if you do not want to include the number. So example, open circle, number is not included, so use the parenthesis. There's no underscore, therefore open circle and parenthesis is used. Again, for this one, -2 is less than x, less than 0. Open circle on both. Interval notation, parenthesis, -2, comma, 0, and parenthesis. Both parentheses, because they both have open circle, which means there's no underscore under the signs. The -1.5 is less than or equal to x, and less than 3. The 1.5, you have the closed circle and the bracket, which means this number is also included. The 3 is the open circle because it does not include the number. It does not include 3, but it does include the -1.5. Addition property of inequality, and the multiplication of inequality is given here. Solving linear equations. Here are the steps. Given an example, solve the inequality. Give your answer in graph form, and then write your answer in interval notation. Your first step is to solve the inequality as an equation. So distributing the 2 times x minus 3 gives you 2x minus 6 is less than 4x plus 10. Combining like terms, you're left with x is greater than -8. You go to the -8, you use a open circle or a parenthesis, and the arrow is to the right. Interval notation is -8, comma, infinity. Again, both parentheses. Another example, solving the inequality 3x plus 9 is greater than or equal to 5 times x minus 1. This is how you would solve it. Your final answer is 7 is greater than or equal to x, or x is less than or equal to 7. On your number line, you have a bracket at 7 because it includes 7. The underscore means it includes the 7. So you have the bracket and the arrow is to the left. Writing your answer in interval notation, it would be parenthesis, -infinity, comma 7, bracket.